I was sitting in my hotel room the night before my wedding, staring at the ring box in my hand, feeling like the luckiest man alive. Tomorrow I would marry Amber, the woman I had spent 3 years building a life with. Everything was perfect. The venue was ready, 200 guests had confirmed, and my heart was full of hope. But something inside me whispered to go see her one more time before we became husband and wife. I grabbed the bracelet I had bought as a surprise and drove to her hotel. I knocked on her door. No answer. I used my key card and stepped inside. What I saw in that bedroom shattered everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and the person I was about to marry. Before I tell you how my perfect wedding turned into the worst betrayal of my life, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe, because what happened next will show you why trust should never be taken for granted. Now let me take you back to where it all began. I met Amber 3 years ago at a coffee shop in Portland. She was a graphic designer full of energy and creativity. I worked as a financial analyst, steady and practical. We balanced each other. She made me laugh when work stressed me out. I gave her stability when her freelance projects fell through. Our first date lasted 6 hours. We talked about everything from our favorite movies to our biggest fears. I knew that night she was different. Our relationship grew naturally. Weekend hikes in the Columbia River Gorge, late-night drives with no destination, cooking disasters that turned into ordering pizza and laughing until our stomachs hurt. A year into dating, I took her to Napa Valley. We were standing in a vineyard at sunset when I got down on one knee. She said yes before I even finished the question. Her hands were shaking. So were mine. It felt like the beginning of forever. Planning the wedding took over a year. We chose a venue on the Oregon coast, right where the cliffs met the ocean. Amber handled most of the creative details, while I managed the budget and logistics. We argued about flower arrangements and debated over the dinner menu, but it always ended with compromise and laughter. 200 guests, a string quartet, a 5-tier cake. Everything had to be perfect because this was supposed to be the best day of our lives. Amber's best friend since college was Stephanie. They were inseparable, finishing each other's sentences and sharing inside jokes I never quite understood. Stephanie worked in marketing, sharp and ambitious. She had been dating Garrett for 2 years. Garrett was a real estate agent, the kind of guy who could sell ice to someone living in Alaska. Tall, confident, always dressed well. The 4 of us became a tight group. Double dates every other weekend. Game nights at our place. Weekend trips to the coast. I trusted Garrett like a brother. Looking back now, that trust was the biggest mistake I ever made. 6 weeks before the wedding, something shifted. Amber became distant. She blamed it on work, stress, and wedding pressure. I believed her. I tried to help more, taking tasks off her plate, bringing her coffee when she worked late. But the distance grew. She stopped sharing her day with me. She checked her phone constantly, then locked the screen whenever I walked into the room. When it rang late at night, she would step out onto the balcony to answer. I told myself it was normal. Weddings make people anxious. I was being paranoid. 4 weeks out, she asked me not to attend some of the vendor meetings. She said she wanted to surprise me with certain details. I thought it was sweet. I gave her space. Meanwhile, Garrett suddenly became super involved in helping me with the groomsmen duties. He asked about our timeline, the venue layout where we would be staying the night before. I thought he was just being a good friend. I even thanked him for caring so much. 2 weeks before the big day, I saw a text flash on Amber's phone while she was in the shower. Just 3 words from an unsaved number. See you tonight. When I asked her about it later, she said it was a vendor confirming a meeting. I wanted to believe her, but a small seed of doubt planted itself in my mind. I pushed it down. I did not want to be that jealous, insecure guy, so I said nothing. 1 week before the wedding, that seed grew into something I could not ignore. But I still told myself I was wrong. I had to be wrong. Because if I was right, it meant everything I had built with Amber was a lie. And I was not ready to face that truth. Not yet. The night before our wedding, we had separate bachelor and bachelorette parties. My groomsmen and I went to a bar downtown. It was supposed to be a wild night, but honestly, I was not feeling it. I had one beer and spent most of the time thinking about tomorrow. One of my friends drank too much, and we had to take him home early. By 11 o'clock, everyone was calling it a night. I was sober and wide awake. Amber and her bridesmaids were staying at a resort 10 miles away. The plan was for them to spend the night there so they could get ready together in the morning. I was supposed to go home. But sitting in my car outside the bar, I had this overwhelming urge to see her. Just for a few minutes. I wanted one quiet moment with her before everything changed tomorrow. I grabbed the bracelet from my glove compartment, the one I had been saving to give her as a wedding day gift, and started driving. The roads were empty. Moonlight cut through the trees lining the highway. I felt nervous in a good way, imagining her surprised face when I showed up. I thought about our future. Maybe 2 kids. A house with a yard. Growing old together. My chest felt tight with happiness. I had no idea I was driving toward the end of everything I thought I knew. I pulled into the resort at 11:45. The lobby was quiet, just a tired receptionist behind the desk. I already had a key card since I had helped book the rooms. Amber was in 312. Stephanie was next door in 314. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor, my heart pounding with anticipation. The hallway was silent except for the hum of the ice machine. I stood outside 312, heard soft laughter inside, and smiled. Probably the girls watching a movie or gossiping about tomorrow. I knocked gently. No answer. I knocked again a little harder. Still nothing. Maybe they were asleep. Or in the bathroom. I pulled out my key card and swiped it. The lock clicked. I pushed the door open slowly, not wanting to startle anyone. The lights in the main room were dim. I heard sounds coming from the bedroom. My stomach tightened. Something felt wrong. I walked toward the bedroom door. It was cracked open, and when I looked through that opening, my entire world collapsed. Amber and Garrett were on the bed, clothes scattered on the floor. They had not heard me come in. For several seconds, my brain refused to process what my eyes were seeing. This could not be real. This had to be some kind of nightmare. But then anger flooded my system, hot and blinding. I shoved the door open hard. It slammed against the wall. They jerked apart like they had been electrocuted. Amber grabbed for the sheets, her face cycling through shock, fear, and something that almost looked like annoyance. Garrett scrambled to pull on his pants, his face drained of all color. I stood there, fists clenched, my whole body shaking. The room smelled like betrayal. Like the death of every promise we had ever made to each other. What the hell is this? My voice came out strangled, barely recognizable as my own. Amber opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. Boyd, I can explain. This is not what it looks like. Not what it looks like. I took a step closer. You are in bed with Garrett. The night before our wedding. What exactly am I supposed to think this looks like? Garrett finally found his voice. Look, man, I can explain. Explain. I turned on him, my hands shaking so badly I had to shove them in my pockets. You are sleeping with my fiancée. What explanation could possibly make this okay? Amber was crying now, but they were not tears of remorse. They were tears of someone who got caught and knew their plan was falling apart. Boyd, please. Just relax. It was just physical. It does not mean anything. We can still get married tomorrow. This does not have to change anything. Those words hit me like a physical blow. Just physical. Does not mean anything. As if that made it better. As if I was supposed to just accept that the woman I loved had been sleeping with my friend and somehow that was not a big deal. How long? My voice was quiet now, deadly calm. How long has this been going on? Silence. That silence told me everything. I turned to Garrett. And what about Stephanie? Does she know her boyfriend has been screwing her best friend behind her back? No. Amber's voice was panicked. Please do not tell her. This was just a mistake. One mistake. One mistake tonight, I shot back. Or one of many mistakes over the past few weeks, months, more silence. Amber looked at the floor. Garrett stared at his hands. Boyd, I do love you. Amber's voice was small. This thing with Garrett, it is just different. It is not about love. I felt sick. You disgust me. Both of you. I turned to leave. Garrett stood up. "What are you going to do?" I stopped at the door. I did not look back. "I do not know yet, but you two are going to regret this. That much I promise." I walked out, got in my car, drove home in complete silence. No music, no thoughts, just emptiness. When I got home, I sat in the dark living room until sunrise, staring at nothing, feeling nothing. My phone kept buzzing. Amber calling, texting, begging. Garrett sending messages too. I ignored them all. By 4 in the morning, only one thought kept repeating in my mind. They were not sorry they did it. They were only sorry they got caught. And that made all the difference. I did not sleep. At 6 in the morning, still sitting in the same spot on my couch, I made a decision. The wedding was supposed to start at 3 in the afternoon. 9 hours away. Most people in my position would cancel. Call everyone. Return the gifts. Eat the cost of the venue and the food and the flowers. But I was not going to do that. Because somewhere in those dark hours I realized something. Amber still wanted to marry me. Not because she loved me, but because she had a plan. And I needed to know what that plan was. I called Travis my best man. He answered on the second ring, his voice groggy. "Dude, it is 6 in the morning. This better be good. I need you to come over, now. It is important." 20 minutes later, Travis was sitting across from me, his face getting darker with every word I said. When I finished, he stood up, pacing my living room. "I am going to kill him. I am going to kill both of them." "No, you are not. I need you to stay calm. I need your help." "Help with what, Boyd? You are canceling the wedding, right?" "I am not sure yet. Part of me wants to see what they do. Part of me wants them to squirm." Travis stared at me like I had lost my mind. But he knew me well enough to know that when I made up my mind about something, there was no talking me out of it. "What do you need me to do?" "I need you to trust me. And I need you to be ready for anything this afternoon." After Travis left, I did something I am not proud of but do not regret. I checked the security camera footage from my house. I had installed them 6 months ago after a break-in on our street. The cameras backed up to a cloud app on my phone. I scrolled back 3 weeks to a Tuesday when I had been out of town for work. Amber told me Garrett had stopped by to drop off a gift for Stephanie. The footage showed Garrett arriving at 2 in the afternoon and not leaving until after 5, 3 hours, and Stephanie was never there. My hands were shaking as I kept digging. I knew Amber's email password. She had given it to me months ago when we were booking a trip and she needed me to confirm the flights. I opened her laptop. Her email was still logged in. I started searching. Wedding planner. Vendors. Normal stuff. Then I found something that made my blood run cold. An email to a lawyer. Subject line, options if engagement breaks. It was from 2 months ago. Amber had been researching what would happen legally if we called off the wedding. But there was more. Another email to a financial advisor asking about asset division in the event of divorce. Not if we got divorced someday in the distant future. The email specifically asked about divorce within the first year of marriage. Then it clicked. Amber wanted to marry me, divorce me quickly, and take half of everything. I had a substantial savings account. I owned my house outright inherited from my grandfather. In Oregon, marital assets get split 50-50 even in a short marriage if there is no prenup. And we did not have a prenup. Amber had said prenups were not romantic, that they meant we did not trust each other. I had agreed because I trusted her completely. What an idiot I had been. I hacked into her iCloud. Another thing I am not proud of, but I needed to know the full truth. I read through her text messages with Garrett going back 3 months. My stomach churned as I scrolled. They had been sleeping together for at least that long, maybe longer. But it was not just sex. They were planning a future together. Garrett wanted to break up with Stephanie. Amber said she would marry me first, then file for divorce after a few months, take half my assets, and then she and Garrett could be together without any financial worries. One text from the night before stood out.